For most of modern history, we believe there was a clear boundary between government and business. One created laws, the other created products. One enforced rules, the other followed them. But over the last 2 decades, that line has quietly dissolved. And today, the powerful corporations you interact with every single day are beginning to act, behave, and operate exactly like governments. This shift didn't happen overnight. It began when governments started outsourcing essential functions, data storage, national communication infrastructure, logistics, and even security, to private companies. Once corporations realized they controlled the pipes through which information, money, and communication flowed, they stopped acting like service providers and started acting like sovereign authorities. Think about it. Tech giants can censor speech faster than any government. Payment companies can freeze your financial life with a single automated flag. Social platforms can shape national narratives, influence elections, and determine which voices rise and which are buried. Cloud companies hold more sensitive national data than any government archive. And artificial intelligence companies now influence policy decisions, policing strategies, and even hiring practices. The most shocking part? None of this requires a single vote, a parliamentary debate, or a public hearing. Corporate power is invisible, unaccountable, and global. A government can only control its own borders, but a corporation controls the online space millions inhabit every second. This is the birth of the corporate state, a world where the entities you once viewed as brands quietly become governing structures that decide what you can say, what you can buy, how you earn money, and how your identity is ranked. In this segment, we explore how this merger began, why it accelerated after 2008, and what it means for the future of democratic power and personal freedom. Over the past few decades, a silent transition has taken place, one that most people never consciously noticed. The world's most powerful decision-makers are no longer presidents, prime ministers, or elected officials. Instead, multinational corporations have quietly risen to become the real rulers of modern society. Today, the combined influence, wealth, and reach of the world's largest companies rival and often surpass the power of entire countries. Think about this for a moment. Apple has more cash reserves than many nations hold in their entire treasury. Amazon's logistics network moves goods across continents faster than national postal systems. Google controls the flow of global information more deeply than any government media agency ever could. These corporations don't just operate within borders, they operate beyond them. They are not limited by elections, political cycles, or democratic accountability. Their influence stretches into every home, every device, every transaction, and every aspect of human behavior. This new corporate ruling class is not an accident. It emerged because governments outsourced, deregulated, privatized, and allowed companies to fill roles once reserved for the state. Need communication? Tech giants control it. Need transportation? Ride-hailing platforms govern it. Need information? Algorithms filter it. Need food, employment, or healthcare? Corporations shape all of it. As governments weakened under debt, bureaucracy, and political dysfunction, corporations strengthened through efficiency, scale, and data. Today, they are the ones writing rules, sometimes literally, by influencing legislation, lobbying lawmakers, and shaping global trade policies. The modern citizen may believe they live under a national government, but in reality, they live under corporate governance. Their choices, opportunities, freedoms, and even beliefs are guided by entities that owe them nothing, not representation, not protection, not fairness. And this shift is only accelerating. In the old world, laws were created by elected governments, debated in public, challenged in courts, and protected by constitutions. But in the age of the corporate state, a new kind of law has quietly taken over, one written not by lawmakers, but by corporations. And these laws come in a form you've clicked agree to thousands of times, terms and conditions. Most people don't realize they are now living under a parallel legal system. Companies can decide what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to buy, and even whether you're allowed to exist on their platforms. With a single automated decision, they can ban your account, freeze your funds, disable your services, remove your voice, or erase your digital identity. And unlike governments, you cannot vote them out. You cannot challenge them in court. You cannot ask for justification. Their rules are absolute. This is the new private law. a system where corporations enforce restrictions more powerful than national regulations. A government might struggle for years to regulate speech, but a platform can silence millions instantly with an algorithmic filter. A government may require due process to freeze your assets, but a payment company can shut you down for a vague policy violation with no explanation. Terms and conditions have become the modern constitution, but one that changes without notice, has no fixed interpretation, and is enforced by artificial intelligence instead of judges. And every time you click agree, you surrender more rights than you realize. The most dangerous part? These corporate laws are global. They override borders. They bypass courts. They shape human behavior at a scale no government ever achieved. And slowly, silently, they are replacing the very idea of democratic rights. As corporations grow larger than nations, a new kind of authority quietly rises, one that does not need elections, constitutions, or public approval. Instead, it rules through terms of service, data ownership, digital infrastructure, and the ability to disconnect anyone from essential services with a single automated decision. This new form of power is subtle, frictionless, and almost invisible, yet it dictates more of your daily life than your own government ever could. Think about it. A government needs courts, paperwork, hearings, and investigations before it can restrict your freedoms. A corporation needs only one notification: account suspended. In a world where everything is tied to your phone number, digital ID, bank app, food delivery app, job portal, and cloud storage, that single action becomes the modern equivalent of exile. You are cut off from communication, income, payments, mobility, and sometimes even access to your own memories stored online. These companies create rules that no citizen ever voted on. They decide what information is allowed, which opinions get visibility, which transactions are acceptable, and which behaviors fit their corporate policies. And because these rules span multiple countries, they bypass national laws entirely. A government might protect free speech, yet a platform can erase your voice instantly. A country may guarantee financial rights, yet a digital bank can freeze your money with no explanation. And in the background, algorithms constantly judge you, your habits, purchases, messages, searches, relationships, all feeding into invisible profiles that determine the opportunities you receive or lose. There is no appeals system, no lawyer, no hearing, just probability scores that decide your future. In this emerging world, corporations don't just influence society, they increasingly govern it. And the shift is happening quietly, without a single vote cast. Imagine waking up in a world where every decision you make, what you eat, where you work, how you travel, even what opinions you are allowed to express, is quietly dictated by a handful of megacorporations. Not through force, not through violence, but through convenience so powerful that opting out becomes impossible. This is the final stage of the corporate state, a world where choice still exists in theory, but not in practice. In this future, governments don't vanish. They simply fade into the background. Corporations provide faster healthcare, better digital security, and more efficient services than the state ever could. Slowly, people begin to trust brands more than their leaders. A tech company decides your identity score. A retail giant decides your food access. A financial platform decides your creditworthiness. A streaming company shapes your political views. These firms don't just influence your life, they become your life. The danger is not that corporations are evil. It's that they are unaccountable. If a company makes a decision that ruins millions of lives, you cannot vote it out. You cannot protest it. You cannot change its leadership. You can only click accept terms and conditions and hope for the best. When companies become governments, democracy becomes a product, citizenship becomes a subscription, and freedom becomes something you access through an app. Until one day, you can't. This isn't science fiction. It's the direction the world is quietly drifting toward. And unless the drift is questioned, the corporate estate may become the final form of modern society.